need a cup holder.
So we've measured out our cup. We know how big our cup holder needs to be, so we're going to draw it out now. We're going to start with first finding the correct font that we're going to use on the cup to put my daughter's name into it. So we go to Google Fonts. We're going to type in stencil into the search box, and up comes Slic3r Stencil 1. I found this one works fairly good with 3D printing, so we will add it, and then over here we'll now download it, and there we go. So we now have our font. The next step will be to unpack the font and add it to Windows. So I type fonts into the search bar on the taskbar, and font settings comes up, and I click on it. Clicking on it brings me to this screen where I have a drag and drop box. So the Slic3r Stencil 1 TTF file, I drag and drop onto this box to add it into Windows. I've already done that, so let's move over into Fusion to draw out our cup holder. So we have a fresh Fusion window here. We're going to start off with a circle for the bottom of the cup holder. So we're going to create a sketch. Click a plane we want it in. We'll use the middle for the center. Draw a circle. We need a 75 millimeter diameter circle. So we do that. Now we're going to do a line from there out. We actually need a break in the circle for how we're going to put the name into it. So we're going to do that line. Our name is going to be, we want everything centered. And eventually this line will be the very back of the cup holder. So what we're going to do is actually draw 2 more lines in here. From here over, we're going to go 0.5 and go until we're on the circle. And then on the other side we will do the same. There we go. Now we'll do another line from the center out, and we'll do the same on the other side. And we'll zoom right in. Now we actually have to trim this, so we'll delete everything out. Now we have a broken circle with about a 1 millimeter gap. Be slightly less because of the curvature, but close enough. Eventually we're going to fill it, so it's not like we need an exact distance anyway. So we're going to move over to sheet metal. We are going to then create a flange. We don't want chaining, so we'll uncheck chaining. We'll select our broken circle. We'll put in a distance of 80 millimeters. That's how high we want our cup holder. Our thickness, we'll put it on side 2. We set 75 millimeters as our inside diameter, so we want the flange on the outside of that. We don't have to change any of the other settings, and we hit OK. So the default thickness for a flange is 2.5 millimeters. That works for the cup holder, but if you did want to change it, under Modify, you would go to Sheet Metal Rules, Steel, because it's in this design, and under the pencil there, you hit that, Edit Rules, and you can change the thickness. So that would change the thickness of the cup holder wall. So we're going to hit cancel because we're good with our thickness. We'll zoom in a little bit here, and we're going to select that face. We're going to extrude a 1/2 mil onto that. And so everything is on a curvature except for this 1/2 mil. So we're going to select our flat portion, and then under modify we're going to go unfold. So our stationary entity, which is our flat tangent, has been selected. The bends, we'll now select that, which is the rest of the circle, and we'll hit OK. Now we'll go back to home, and you can see we've now basically flattened out our curve. So now we're ready to actually put the name in the cup. So under create, go sketch, then we'll add, hold on, oops, we'll go on our new piece, and we'll put text, and somewhere around there. Now under font, we're going to want to find that font we just installed, so Sarah Stencil. I'm going to type in my daughter's name. I'm going to make it a good height. Now let's move it until we're roughly centered. I've never found a good way to center text, so all I usually do is count the squares. So now we'll select that, we'll extrude, we'll do a -10, and there we go. We now have our holes. The one important thing to note, and another reason to use stencil, is that we've left no orphan pieces. Everything is attached to the original piece, which A, is necessary for 3D printing, and B, if that's not the case, it can create issues when you refold the face. But everything looks good, so we'll go ahead and hit refold, and now there we go. The basis of our cup holder is starting to take shape. So we'll zoom back in. What we're going to do here is we're actually going to extrude, and we'll go -0.5, so essentially delete what we had in there to begin with. Now we're going to do a circle. We'll go this face. And then we'll do another circle. All we're doing is basically and finish. So now we can go over here, select our bit, extrude. Oops, zoom back out. We're going to object. So we want to go to the bottom, and we want to join. So we've filled the gap. There we go. So we're going to move back over to solid, the solid tab. We're going to modify. Now we're going to replace the face. Essentially, we're going to patch this. So our source face is that one. Target face is everything else. And there we go. Patch straight up. Now we'll do that on the top as well. So replace face. Select target. There we go. Wouldn't even know it had a hole in it. Now we're going to bring back our original sketch, because that gives us center for the back. And we're going to, I think, let's go to the top. Line, well, we want to draw on the top. And so we're actually just going to extend this past. Actually, let's just go to the edge. We'll turn off our old sketch. So we're drawing this from the top. What we're going to do is from the back draw a clip that will clip onto the bed. So now we're drawing from the back. We know the bed's 20 mils thick, so we're going to go 21 mils plus 5 for the back keeper, so for a total of 26 millimeters. So we'll draw a line, 26 millimeters. So now we'll draw in our back piece, which will be 40 millimeters total width. So we're going to start off at 20 on this side. And we're at 90, done. We'll do a rectangle to do the rest. So we want 40 wide, 5 thick, done. Now we'll go up here and draw the part to square off the circle. So again, 20 millimeters wide. We're at a 90-degree angle. We'll do the same on the other side. 20 millimeters, 90 degrees, done. Now we'll go from here up to there. Do the same on the other side. It's starting to take shape. And now we'll do line. Actually, we'll do extend. Extend that side and that side. So the basis of our back piece. So now we'll highlight the pieces. We'll do an extrude. And we'll go to the side so you can see this go in. We're going to go minus 45. We're going to join. We're going to bring back our sketch. Do another extrusion, minus 5. And there we go. So if we go to home, you can kind of see how that's going to clip onto the bed now. We'll add some fillets to round off the corners nicely. We're going to deselect tangent because we'll want to use a bigger fillet here than we can on the rest of the cup. So we'll do a let's do a 3 mil here. We'll do that here as well. I'll go around here, another 3 mils. So it gives it a nice rounded top. And that will be flush with the bed, so we won't round that. That'll be flush with the bed, so we won't round that. And given these are so thin, we're actually going to print it upside down. So we're going to leave, we're going to have to use a brim to get adhesion. So we're actually not going to do any fillets on here, which should be okay. Let's flip it over and put a bottom on. So you notice now that we've selected the bottom, we actually still have that sliver there. So what we're going to do is create a new sketch. Put it on that same plane. Go to the middle. Oops. Circle, then go to the middle. And we'll draw it right out to match the edge. So that's a new sketch, sketch 5. So we can turn sketch 1 off, finish our sketch. Now we can highlight that whole thing. So we're going to extrude. Let's do a 4 millimeter bottom. Hit OK. We're going to fillet the bottom, give us a nice curved edge, a little fairly heavy, so 3 millimeters. And let's take one final look. Looks pretty sharp. So now we'll export the STL. And we're ready to head over to our slicer. Here we are in Prusa Slicer. Our first step is to load in our body we created in Fusion. So there's our mug holder. We're going to actually print this upside down to avoid using supports. So we change the bottom by clicking that and put it there. And now we're upside down. The bottom will require bridging, so probably a little bit of cleanup after it's printed, but nothing too bad. and on the part that clips onto the bed, it will no longer need supports. Looking at the lettering, oh, it's going to use some cleanup, but it should print okay. I'll just have to do a bunch of cleanup in post, particularly on the A's. Arrange so it's centered. We'll slice it. Everything looks good. We're going to be printing in PETG. I think we'll just take a quick skim through the layers. We do have some fill there. Actually, these aren't going to be too bad. And there we go. We'll export our G-code. And we're ready to move over to the 3D printer for printing. Our 8-hour print of the cup holder is now complete. We just have to clean up the print. To do that, we'll be using a set of gloves, keep my fingers safe, set of needle files to get into the corners, and a razor blade to cut off any stringing or clumps. So on the print itself, we do have some stringing on the overhangs. We have the brim, as well as some little clumps that you typically see when printing with PETG. So let's clean that up, and then we're ready to go for a test fit.
Much better.
Thanks for watching this father-daughter project. Give it a thumbs up if you liked the video, and hit subscribe if you'd like to see more videos like it.